Hey folks, welcome to a podcast about Catholic things. This is Eric, the ambassador of common sense, and I'm here with
Dan, the ambassador of nonsense. How you doing, folks?
And we skipped out on you for 2 weeks in a row, but we're back.
We're not going to claim that we were shut down for the coronavirus either.
No, we were just...
It was just,
had other junk.
Yeah. Bad planning.
I thought... Last week, I thought you had said that you were doing something for Jacob in another state. And then you were gone that weekend, and I walk into Grandma's house, and Jacob's sitting there with Danny. And I'm like, wait a minute. You were Danny's excuse.
No.
And then he reminded me that Ben's kids had something going, or maybe Jeremy's.
Yeah, we went up to Washington. It actually wasn't last week. So last week we were actually at Jeremy's, visiting him and our grandkids in Columbus. The week before we were in Washington, flew back through Seattle, which is at the time was considered the hub of it all, so to speak.
Yeah, that's ground zero.
Yeah.
So did you get coronavirus?
I think I probably already had coronavirus, so I don't know. Because a few weeks before I had a real bad, cough and stuff with a fever. Maybe that was coronavirus, maybe not. I figure it's a cold. Yeah. Everybody's going to get it. Yeah,
that's kind of what I thought. But they're telling me that everybody's going to die from it.
Who's telling? I guess some news stations are reporting it that way, aren't they?
They're doing everything to get. Well, I mean, heck, our governor shut the whole state down.
Yeah, Indiana too. Yeah, with a shelter in home
you can't
order
go to
or
church.
something like that. Yeah, you can't even go to mass.
Go to mass.
Yeah, but you know what? Even before the governor of either Ohio or Indiana shut it down, all of the dioceses individually shut it down, shut mass down within their diocese. It's like, okay, so in this doesn't make sense to me at all. In this time, when we are under a threat of physical death, something that was always in the cards, it was going to happen to all of us at some point or another. So in this time, when there is some feeling that for some of us, physical death might be a little bit more, more in hand, maybe it's in the next hand dealt or whatever, let's go ahead and remove the instruments of eternal life. That makes no sense to me whatsoever.
Yeah. I remember reading a book, I think it was about the priests who it was the priests who were there in England being persecuted.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the name of it. It was something. There was a number, something like 40 priests or 40 martyrs or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And it's priests who went in the first decade of the Church of England, who were going to England and being hunted down. Oh, I think it was called the Priest Hunters.
Oh,
something like that.
Wow.
But there was a priest there who was talked about having to give communion during the Black Plague, and how he would shudder at having to see their bodies and put the host on their tongue.
Right.
But he did it.
Yeah.
And the Black Plague was a whole lot more lethal than coronavirus 19.
Yeah, I mean something like 50% mortality rate maybe.
Yeah, it was like a third of the
of Europe
population
disappeared because of it. I mean, some of them maybe didn't get it, and of those who did get it, the ones that died ended up being a third of the population. So I'm thinking maybe the mortality rate was around 50%.
Yeah, and they had processions and said special masses and did all kinds of stuff to beg God to take away the plague.
Mm-hmm.
And
we televise masses. How about that?
Well, that's something, but
Yeah, I make our kids watch a
do you think
televised
God
mass
would
on
take
Sunday,
away
but
this
it's stupid.
terrible head cold and save us from COVID-19?
Yeah. Yeah, but you know what? Our abortion centers are staying open, our abortion mills. We're still killing babies. You can still
kill your baby.
Still kill your baby, but you can't go to mass.
And you can still get weed, I think.
Oh, that's right. In California, they decided the weed centers are considered.
I think it is in Ohio
necessary
as well.
Oh, is it?
I was looking through the list
medical
of
umbrella.
Necessary people. I can't find too many people who are going to actually be out of work. Well, I can't find too many people who can't go to work.
Oh, right.
According to these rules.
Now, my wife might end up there. She currently she does audiologic examinations for veterans who are applying for compensation and pension based on hearing loss that they acquired during their service. And it's kind of up in the air right now whether they're going to end up deciding that they have to shut that down for the time being. Currently, they're staying open because it's happening under a general healthcare umbrella. But she may end up being one of those who can't go to work. I cannot go to work, but my work is such that I can work at home, and so I continue to.
Well, wait a minute.
To do that,
you're an engineer, and you manage the programming of certain car computers, right?
Medical devices. Cars was my last job. Now it's medical devices. In fact,
then now even more so.
Yeah, in fact, today I was
How
actually.
can you not be going to work?
I was actually. Well, I am working. I just can't go into work.
Well, why could you not go to work? That is an essential service.
Well, and the directive from the president of the company is that if we are if the work we're doing is specifically COVID-19 related and it's necessary for us to be in the office to do that, like we have to have access to equipment for testing or something like that, then we can go in. Otherwise, we should do our work from home. But it's fortunate that I have a job that you can do that.
Well, people have health needs that are not COVID-19 related, but are still needs.
Well, yeah, but my work doesn't directly address those needs. I mean, anything that I do at work is related to device or software development that is on its way to FDA approval that, might actually enter the real medical market months and months from now.
Yeah, but we still need it.
Yeah, well, okay. I guess you can make an argument.
I mean, it's
necessary.
We're not going to stop all progress, are we?
Yeah, no, we're not
going to stop research.
No, that's true.
Or we shouldn't.
Well, we shouldn't.
That's
the thing, though. I mean, there is so much. It's kind of funny. There's two layers of panic that are going on. The first layer of panic is the popular, oh my gosh, everybody's going to get the virus and die panic. I see that mostly among liberals, and I see that mostly fomented by the media, and that's kind of I don't see a lot of real people giving into that kind of panic. I mean, I go out and I see, people are in stores. They're not, I see people wearing gloves out of caution, but they're not jumping away to get 6 feet away from somebody who suddenly got near them or something like that. I don't see any of that going on. But then there's a second layer of panic going on. And I think this is the layer of panic that is threatening to really do damage to our economy and our country and to lives. And it's the panic of officials who are panicking about looking like they're not doing anything.
Yeah.
That's the panic that is really threatening our country right now.
Yeah, there's
because they're all overreacting.
Yeah. There's also those people who are watching people overreact and think we're going to be out of everything soon. I need to go gather.
There's that panic too.
And I think everybody's susceptible to that because you go to the grocery store, buy your normal groceries, and you see an empty aisle, and you're like, well, what am I going to do?
Do you have your toilet paper bunker?
Yeah. Well, I see that Indianapolis is about 1 week behind us in terms of how empty the stores are.
So you guys are like really empty now, because so far we've been able to go to the grocery and get 95% of what we explicitly set out to get, and the other 5% we can usually find reasonable substitutes. Or
about a week ago,
go and get it later.
We were flat out empty.
Wow.
And so I had to go to Indianapolis and on a call, and I stopped at a grocery store while I was there, and that store was maybe a week behind that from what we were in Cincinnati. You know what I mean?
Getting close to empty, but not quite there.
Yeah. But see, now you go to the store and it's mostly full again.
Yeah. It picked back up. People settled down. Mm-hmm.
We're fine.
Yeah. And you know what? Honestly, I think the restaurants ought to be open too.
I think it's so bull that so many waitresses are not at work.
No, and you know what? Those are people who they're paid by the hour. If the restaurant's shut down, they don't get paid.
Yeah.
Those are the people that this is going to hurt really bad. Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, they have tip money or they don't, and that could decide whether they eat or not.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's like I said, every one of these, like, you know, I still think of it as a liberal extremism to do the heavy-handed top-down, you know, the reaction to the COVID-19. But every time I see one of these heavy-handed, top-down liberal actions of some kind, I just think liberals must just really hate poor people because they affect the poor the worst.
Yeah, they always do. Here's the thing. I'm not just saying it from liberals, though. Mike DeWine is the governor here in Ohio, and he was supposed to be not a rhino. He was, you know, we had Kasich in, and Kasich was just terrible. I can't tell you how many ways he was terrible. But we got rid of him, and we get Mike DeWine in. And I hear him on the radio telling everybody, you got to be cautious. You got to self-isolate. You got to blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to shut down the whole economy to make sure, I don't know, they're promising that millions of people are going to end up in the hospital. I don't see it happening anywhere.
No. And, you know, I don't know what, you know, that's that second tier panic that I'm talking about. It's like even Republicans are subject to that. No leader, no public official wants to appear ineffectual. You know, that because he won't be voted for next time. So
the question is, when things like this happen, then the conspiracy theories start. And to be honest, some of them aren't too far off, I don't think. I mean, there are some accusing, well, this is germ warfare from China. I kind of don't believe that. I do, however, believe China is laughing their butts off right now because they shut down the American economy with a cold.
With a cold from China shut down the American economy. It is kind of funny though that one of my sons likes to watch videos and stuff, and he was watching videos which claimed to be produced by the Chinese government, or at least, you know, yeah. So, by like Tai Chi and Kung Fu masters that's, are saying that, we can combat this virus with Kung Fu. Stuff like that.
Vicky's into videos, and she's got some really weird ones. Have you seen what the celebrities, some of their videos that they're putting out that
I saw
are really
something about
weird?
Celebrities doing weird stuff, like on my Twitter feed there was something about Madonna in a bathtub. It's like, well, what's that about?
Have you seen that one?
I didn't watch it. No, it's like
I kept hearing about it. I watched it specifically an hour ago.
So what is it
for this show? I don't know. All I can say is it's weird.
In a bathtub? She's just sitting in a bathtub. Is she talking?
She's sitting in the bathtub. There's music in the background, and she's talking about how COVID-19 is the great equalizer.
In what sense?
If the ship sinks, we're all sinking. I don't even know what that means. I don't think it is. Isn't it harder on old people?
Yeah.
She's kind of old.
It's like almost a monotonic increase in risk of severe or permanent damage or death. The risk of that increases with age. Period. It's like the last time I actually looked at the numbers, which was a week ago maybe. As of that time, the numbers that I was reading from the CDC had it that not a single person under the age of 9 had died from this virus.
Yeah.
It's old people. So, no, it's not an equalizer.
Maybe it's like wishful thinking. She's thinking that, I don't know. But see, she's not the only one. Ellen DeGeneres has some really weird ones out there. I can't even explain what they are. They're like her making phone calls to people and then talking to them and then filming herself having a phone conversation with people, with other big names like Michelle Obama. They're just real weird. And,
that is weird. You think it's some kind of like with this virus, they're like thinking, oh my gosh, I might die. I better get something recorded so that my memory doesn't fade or something like that. I mean, you think it's some weird kind of reaction to that?
I'll tell you what I personally think is going on. First of all, I do believe that this is I'm not going to say there's a conspiracy, but I think this is an opportune time for people to destroy everything that Trump has built. Yeah. I don't even know how you can argue with that, because that's what's happening.
They have been trying that.
The 3 years have created this booming economy, and within 3 weeks, we've taken it down. Yeah. So I know that's going on. Well, after everybody's talking about, social distancing, the Hollywood left is acting like, I think they're just kind of playing along with this. They're acting like we're talking total quarantine and that they're going stir crazy because they have to stay in their houses by themselves. And not do anything. There's one from, I saw one from Drew Barrymore. There was one from Tom Hanks' wife. I can't remember her name.
Mm-hmm. Now she and he both have the virus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She did like a rapping one. She started rapping. Sharon Stone is doing some really weird ones.
Sharon Stone?
Yeah.
Wow.
And she has aged dramatically in the past 2 weeks, according to the pictures that I'm seeing.
Oh, okay.
But at some point, I guess it was the CDC approached Hollywood types and asked them to do public service announcements telling people to stay home. And a lot of them are doing that. And
okay.
The reason I think this is part of something to take down Trump is because the people who are doing it are Danny DeVito, what's the guy's name? The other Italian guy, Robert.
Oh, De Niro.
Yeah, De Niro. Couple people like that who absolutely hate Trump.
Oh,
those are the people doing this.
Yeah. The more they can get people to stay home, the more the economy tanks, and the better chance they think they're going to have in November.
Right.
You know, what's funny is that...
You talk. I'm going to go to the kitchen and get a drink.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I don't think that this is really going to end up taking Trump down because, I mean, even assuming it was a little bit closer to the election. I mean, you know, for one thing, Americans have short memories, and what determines the election isn't going to be what happens right now in March and April. It's going to be whatever, you know, happened in July and August. But even assuming that this was in people's mind, assuming that the concern about the handling this was in people's mind, the thing about liberals and the liberal approach to governance is that it's very heavy-handed and it's very from, you know, top down, but it's also very bureaucratic. And I don't think people would want that in response to a crisis. They want a man who is going to take charge and make decisions. And, you know, even though he has to work through the bureaucracy of the government and you know, there's the Constitution, he has to follow that, and Congress has to do its part, and so on and so forth, Trump fits that a lot more so than anything that any of these liberals is offering, you know, any Democrat candidate is offering in their, you know, debates and speeches and stuff like that. So I think it's like, there's almost no way that this doesn't work in Trump's favor.
That's what I think, especially if he can manage somehow to get governors on board with opening things up by next week. Yeah.
Yeah. He's saying by Easter he wants to have things opening back up.
Yeah.
And,
which,
you know,
I don't know. I am seriously scared that if we don't open up very soon, that the economy will not bounce back. That it'll not bounce back within a year.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, you can't stay closed for that long without it having a serious negative impact.
Right. And, you know, the last thing you want is Democrats in charge when the economy's down, because that's when they're going to take advantage to increase government power.
That's when they keep it down.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about economic history. When I listen to other conservatives talk about it, they talk about for like the Great Depression being something that was that started as bad but was kept in play by Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
That we could have recovered some very quickly if not for our leaders.
And instead, it ended up being the impetus for all of the expansive government programs that FDR put in place.
Right. People had enough pressure on them to where they were willing to accept anything that could get them out from under the thumb of poverty.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, the thing is, this is one of those things that I've kind of noticed about liberals. It's like, okay, maybe the people in that generation, our parents' generation, certainly our grandparents' generation, you know, during that crossover time, leading from the Depression into the Roosevelt era and so forth, they might have had the excuse of that real hardship of poverty being in recent memory, and so, you know, giving in to the siren song of government planning and control and so forth. But the thing about liberals today, and I think this coronavirus thing is kind of playing into, I think this is why there's such a widespread panic on the popular level among liberals. The thing about liberals today is that it's almost like they have this addiction to a fear that can only, a fear of something not being right. It's a undefined fear, but it's a fear that something's not going to be done right, and so they need these government bureaucracy and government overlords and heavy-handed governance in order to make sure that things are done right. And, it might be a fear that somebody's not going to like them enough, a fear that somebody's going to discriminate against them, in this case, a fear that they're going to get coronavirus. I mean, it's like the more you offer them a reason to be afraid in a way that the response to that fear is, oh, we need the government to solve the problem, the more they get drawn to that fear.
And they can't solve the problem without the bureaucracies. We got to talk about just about that for a second. The level of trust that's being put in government bureaucracies who have been proven to be inept over and over and over again is scary.
Yeah.
I mean, do you trust the BMV with anything?
No.
To do anything ever?
No.
They're terrible. You go there and stand in line for an hour just to get a little piece of paperwork. Can you imagine if real businesses operated that way?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they couldn't because people wouldn't go there. If you didn't have to go to the BMV, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't. Exactly.
And if they privatized it, it would be you would do it online. You wouldn't even go to the office.
Right.
And if you did go, it'd be like 1, 2, 3, you're out of here. All right, goodbye. But it's the government involvement that it just strains everything and it slows everything down, and it usually corrupts it.
Yeah, right. Because the one thing that I don't know, why people don't just naturally realize this, but every government bureaucracy, you think it exists for the stated reason for which it was created under the law, blah, blah, blah. No, every single government bureaucracy exists for the purpose of justifying its own existence.
Yeah. That's
the purpose to which its energies are driven. Now, of course, to justify its existence, it has to do something related to the legal purpose for which it was created. And so, things do kind of sort of get done, enough to make people think, oh yeah, see all the stuff they do, we need them. But that's the point. You've got to come in with that just basic understanding that all the decision making within a government bureaucracy is oriented towards justifying its own existence and its own budget.
The weird thing is how it's not just that the government needs to be there. It's that Democrats need to be in charge of it.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not fine with the government running it. It's only fine if... I don't even know about Democrats. I guess at this point you could say establishment is in charge of it. People who have been doing it for 20 years,
right.
Those are the people who should do it.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that they failed for 20 years.
Which is kind of interesting because the Democrats as a party, as a collection of people, the people that the Democrats really are oriented about, that have always made the Democrat base, there's a parallel there because...
Are you talking about the old blue-collar worker who was in the union and was...
The blue-collar worker are the dupes because the real Democrats are old money, and their purpose as a political party was to keep the old money establishment in power against the new money, business, up-and-comer, entrepreneurial Republicans.
The giant plantation owners.
Yeah.
Who needed
Old
the
money.
slaves.
Who needed
so
the
they
slaves.
had to have the,
That's exactly. But
Yeah.
it goes all the way back to pre-Civil War. They were the ones who inherited their money, not the ones who earned their money. And those are the same people who are the real power movers in the Democrats today.
Yeah. And it's weird how I guess now more and more people are starting to see that, and I think that's why Donald Trump is there.
Yeah.
But
that's why he took Michigan. A solid blue-collar worker state.
Yeah.
You know?
But what's weird is how demonstratable, I don't know if I'm even saying that right, but how easy it is to show that this is the case.
Yeah.
And how few people believe it.
That's that's true. That's true.
I mean, it's not hard to find these things out.
Dinesh D'Souza, who even made that movie.
Oh yeah. I mean, he went to jail for it.
Right. So
that in itself should be a red flag, and yet still people think he's just a propagandist, and it's like, I guess you could call it propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing it he's putting it out there for a reason, but he's right.
Yeah, he's still right. And he makes challenges in his videos, challenges like you will not find a Republican who owned a slave. And I've gone to forums and stuff to
That's interesting. I never even heard that or thought about that, but that's interesting.
I think that was I can't remember the exact
but
wording
something
of
along
it.
those lines.
But
right.
it was, the point was that only Democrats owned slaves, not Republicans.
Right.
And only Democrats were part of the KKK, not Republicans. Only Democrats believe in abortion. Mostly not.
Yeah, I mean,
Republicans.
The rhinos.
Yeah. What is a rhino? What is
Republican in name only.
Oh. I didn't even know what that word meant. I just hear it used all the time, and I knew what it described.
Oh, right. Yeah. I get it's. I mean, it's handy for Republicans because it's makes an animal sound. I get but if I guess there really aren't any Democrats in name only, are there? But if there were, what would you call them? Dinos, something like that. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Dinos. Well, so I don't even remember. That conversation took a lot of turns. Oh, we were talking about the weird things that the movie stars are doing.
Oh, right, yeah. That's and why they're doing it. I saw on my Twitter feed, and when I see videos, I tend not to watch them. I have to really be grabbed by the comments that people make in order to actually watch a video on Twitter.
Or
I'm more
somebody
interested in reading.
Absolutely forces you. You have to watch this. All
yeah,
right,
somebody
I'll
brings
watch
it to and sticks it in my face.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll watch it. but I see so many videos of people that are singing stuff. It looks like, but they're not people I recognize. So I don't know if these are celebs stuck at home or if these are people who are just regular people that somehow their videos went wild or went viral or whatever.
I think most of them are celebs stuck at home, and they're doing videos where they don't have the makeup and stuff.
Okay.
So they don't look the same.
So and the thing is they're
This is how committed I am.
They're jonesing for attention.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. They're jonesing for attention. They need a fix, and this is a way to get it.
That's what I think. There's other theories out there, and they get kind of weird. But
there's going to be.
I hesitate to even call attention to them, but some of them. If you sit and think about it, you think, okay, that's almost believable with these
some of the
people.
Theories.
Some of these actors and actresses are so weird. It's almost something where, hey, I could imagine myself believing that if there were any If you showed me evidence,
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh
might
yeah,
start
wouldn't
to
take
believe
much
it.
to convince. Yeah, kind of thing. Well, I'm just thinking that okay, we'll have this thing and it'll happen, and then we'll have all these videos out there of actors, and then we'll have a whole decade to come up with a whole new category of abnormal psychology terms to describe what these actors are doing.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. A lot of international travel is stopped.
Yeah.
Non-elective surgeries have stopped.
Except abortions.
Not necessarily. Some there are.
Well,
I
in
believe
some
there are
states.
less abortions
Yeah.
right now.
Mm-hmm.
One of the theories is that the left, the Hollywood elites,
Mm-hmm.
get some kind of chemical from aborted babies or murdered people, and that they use this to stay young and healthy looking.
Wow, that's
And that
I have not heard that one.
they're not getting it now
And so
because
they're looking old.
yeah, they're looking old and starting to go nuts because they don't have this whatever chemical it is.
That would make a really interesting science fiction movie. I mean,
Yeah, I'm thinking
it,
about.
it's one, it would make a compelling science fiction movie. That not
Yeah.
just interesting in terms of being far out there, but compelling in the sense that if such a thing were available, yes, the kinds of people who end up being celebrities, you think, yeah, they really would make use of it, no matter how horrid it seems.
Yeah, that's what I mean. If there were something like that, then you can certainly imagine most leftist celebrities doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, they're doing videos that like "Be proud for abortion" or something. I can't remember what the name of that was, but things like that, just things that are just sick.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's just demonic, like bloodthirsty, like
And I've always said that abortion is the sacrifice of the left.
the sacrament of the left.
Sacrament. Okay.
Yeah.
Sacrifice.
That's what you mean.
Sacrament.
Right. Well, it's kind of the same thing. Yeah. But right, exactly. I mean, it's
They
it's almost like they have
this to
it's like they
the
have
devil.
a religious devotion to it. It's like a I don't know, some kind of like a ritualistic. It has ritualistic sense of the reverence they give it.
Yeah. And it's a prerequisite almost. I mean,
Yeah.
even Trump, when he was famous, before he got into politics, they would ask him about abortion. If you watch the videos, you could see he kind of, it's almost like he doesn't want to talk about it. He gives, yeah, I'm for it. I said I was for it, all right? Leave it alone.
Yeah,
and then he wants to move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I haven't watched those videos, but yeah, I could believe that.
You would have it would be easy to convince me he's not really for it, but he's just never really took time to think about it.
Mm-hmm. And
When
of course,
he did
now
those
being president,
interviews.
you have to actually think about it.
Yeah. So what do you, okay, if you're a traditional Catholic, what do you do right now? What are you doing on Sunday?
Our parish is streaming Mass at on Saturday evening. Maybe they do it on Sunday too, but I get the kids. I say we're going to sit in the living room and we're going to watch Mass, and we're going to unite ourselves with the intentions of the prayers of the priest. And it's important to me that it be at the same time. It's not just we're not going to watch a recording, but the Mass is going on right now, a few miles down the road, and we're going to unite ourselves with the prayers and intentions of the priest and offering the sacrifice of Christ to the Father, which is what the Mass is about, even if we can't receive Holy Communion. So that's what we do, And if any of them needs to go to confession, our priest has done a pretty cool thing. He said, okay, the bishop said I'm not allowed to open the confessionals, but what I'm going to do is the side entrance of the rectory, I'm going to open the door, and the storm door, the glass storm door is going to be there. And what you can do is you can come up to it, and you can give me a phone call. And as long as I can see you, so that we're in physical proximity, which is what's something that's required for the sacrament, you can give your confession over the phone. Now, I don't know if I want to give my confession over the phone, because who knows, all the circuits that has to go through to get to the priest. Yeah. But he's doing everything he can to make the sacrament
that interested
available.
In what you did?
Well, that's true. That's true. What? But the thing is, it's like I don't fear the. It's like I did something super horrible. It's that people would find out how petty my sins are.
Oh yeah.
Not petty in the sense that they're light, but petty in the sense that you're stupid. Why would you do that?
That was so selfish and stupid and. Only babies do that.
Exactly.
Grown-up men don't do that.
So anyway, but that's what he's doing for confession too. So we actually have it pretty good, given the circumstances, and given that the bishops have given into this panic and kind of locked down things. But I don't know. I don't know if that's available everywhere.
I don't know. Well, 2 weeks ago, when the at Father Watkins in St. Lawrence at his last Mass said that since he couldn't do Mass anymore, he was going to make communion or confession available as often as possible, and he set up like blank pews that people couldn't sit in to try to space people out.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know if he's still doing that anymore, because I don't know what the bishops have said lately.
Right. He's doing everything. He was doing everything he could to make it so that there was no reason to shut him down for confession.
Right.
Which makes sense.
Right.
And I mean, with confession, it's like, okay, it's like because our priest, he said, well, he was going to keep the confessionals open, and then the bishop said, no, you can't do that. So
it's a terrible thing to do.
And then he said, okay, I got to still make confession available, so now he came up with this other way. But it's like, why would the bishop even say that? Because it's not like you have to go face-to-face with confession. You can be behind the screen. The priest can be feet away from you. You can be not even facing each other. Because they don't have
to be visible to each other.
Not only not visible, you can be facing opposite directions.
Yeah.
The priest might turn around when he I don't know if he has to do a like make a sign of the cross with his hand over you or something like that.
Oh.
But other than that, yeah, and you can have a screen. I mean, there's all kinds of confession doesn't need to be a dangerous
confession
activity.
Lines are all that crowded.
Well, that's true. That's the other thing. And even if they were, most churches are big.
Pretty sparse.
You can spread people out.
Yeah, it's a big old church.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing right now. This last Sunday, I just sat down and I read the Mass.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I didn't watch it streaming or anything.
Right. But you at least get the readings, and you can even read through a priest somewhere is saying the Mass. You can read the Eucharistic prayer and unite yourself to those intentions at the very least. Because...
I mean, in the Latin Mass, I'm never saying it with the priest anyway.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
right.
That's something. For people who are maybe hesitant to go to a Latin Mass, this would probably be a good time for them to follow a Latin Mass where you could pause and look in the book to figure out where am I supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what's going on.
Learn the Latin Mass during the next 2 weeks.
That's
and
a good
then
point.
When Sunday comes, just, hey, let's go to the Latin Mass.
You know a little bit more about it. I mean, you'll still have to, I know the books, some of them have the indicators when to kneel and stand and that kind of stuff. Sometimes, not every, especially today where the people who are doing the Latin Mass are kind of like a group of people who got together and got a priest to do it, and so forth. Well, they may not quite exactly do it the way that it's in the book.
Right. They don't always go 100%.
It takes you a couple of weeks to figure out, but you just follow everybody around you. Sit, towards the back a little bit so you can see what people are doing, and just do it. And honestly,
and be able to peek over someone's shoulder, see what page they're on in that missal. You get the red missals that everyone else is using. Or
those red missals are awesome. The ones with the
Yeah, I use those.
And almost every Latin Mass parish has those available.
Yeah. But it would be a good time. And then a lot of... You also get confused because there's the directions for the high Mass and the low Mass, and you got to figure out which one you're attending. And a lot of times, the things that they do for the high Mass, they'll do it at a low Mass sometimes.
Yeah, that messes you up because it's like, wait a minute.
Then you get, wait a minute, what is this? But... it would be a really good time to learn how to pray the Mass and how to pray the Latin Mass. I don't do it in Latin. Do you read it in Latin or do you read it in English?
Well, I don't have a Latin Mass to go to.
If you attend.
But,
oh, you don't? Yeah, you do.
Well, I could go all the way into Indy, but I go to my local parish.
I guess that's pretty far.
But
yeah,
I mean, it's honestly, it kind of bugs me that I don't because it's not as far as we used to go to Indy, that same church, when we lived in Noblesville. But I don't know. I guess I've become more of a slave to convenience. But I kind of like the priest at our local parish too, even though he doesn't do the Latin Mass. But if I were to go, I would read the English along with the priest and unite myself with his intentions. But here's the other thing that at the Latin Mass, even if you're not specifically following along, you don't necessarily have to. You could instead give yourself over to maybe, quietly saying the rosary or something like that. And I like to compare it to a ship that's bound for some destination. The destination, of course, is the Eucharistic mysteries. The prayers that the priests are saying is kind of like the engine of the ship that's getting the ship there. You get there the same whether you understand the workings of the engine or not. However, it just so happens that if you are able to understand the workings of the engines also have a lot to do. They have everything to do with the destination itself. So when you take a ship to, some island, the ship's engine has nothing to do particularly with that island. You get there, whether you understand the engine or not. It's that way with the Mass, except that the engine also really does have it to do with the island. And so if you understand the workings, you can even more so get what it is you're going to the island for. So it's like you get there the same regardless. And if you give yourself over to a intention of contemplation through the mysteries of the Rosary, if you're praying the Rosary, you're contemplating the same mysteries that you're there to receive at Mass. Yeah. Or you can do it by reading the prayers of the Mass itself and uniting yourself to the intentions of the priest in doing that, if you can find a good English translation. Either way, it works the same.
Yeah. Doesn't feel like that in the Novus Ordo.
Not at all, because there's all this stuff that you're expected to do that's part of the Mass.
In Indianapolis, what is it, St. Stephen's that does the Tridentine?
I don't know about St. Stephen's. The church I used to go to is Holy Rosary on Stephen Street.
Stephen Street.
That's why you're thinking that.
Is there a little... 10 years ago when I would work in Indy now and then, I would stop by for a noon Latin Mass somewhere.
Yep, I
guess it's there. There's kind of a small, maybe a Spanish-looking priest there.
I don't know about that. You may be thinking of another one. I'm not sure about that.
I don't know. I went in there once and they had confessions afterwards. I needed to go to confession, so I go into confession. I had never been to, I don't know what, it's not a Latin confession, but he's using Latin there.
The right,
And I can't hear him, so I have no idea what I'm supposed to do and when. So I sat down and I could see he had made the sign of the cross, so I made it, and he said some stuff, and I just sat there. Mm-hmm. And finally he said, "You got to talk now."
That's funny.
I said, "Okay, bless me, Father. Yeah. I have sinned."
Well, you know, you were telling me about that, and when it got to the part where after he said, "Go ahead and say your act of contrition," and while you were saying that, he started giving absolution, and you stopped. Yeah, he was
saying stuff. Yeah, I didn't know.
And he said, "Keep going."
I didn't know what to do. I thought, oh, is he trying to stop me or to talk to me? But no, I guess he's saying the prayers of absolution as I'm saying the act of contrition. It is a very much different way of going to confession.
But you know what? The thing is, it's like that. That's just a tiny example, but you see that in the traditional liturgies, more so in the Novus Ordo. There's a economy. If there's some things we can do at the same time, we'll do them.
Yeah.
You know, there's no reason we have to wait for this before that. You know, just.
Right, because the choir's singing the Kyrie, and the priest.
Well, the priest goes on. The priest finishes his
prayers.
Kyrie, and he goes on to the prayer. Yeah, exactly. And then by the
you
time
can sing with the choir,
I mean, sometimes by the time the choir's finished with the Kyrie, it's time to lead right into the Gloria.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times, the priest is waiting for them.
That's right.
All right, I'm done. Now let's start the Gloria, and then we're all going to sit and listen to the Gloria. I make fun of those long masses, but. Yeah, I don't know. But, they're for some people. I joke too much about them.
Well, you know, at least what you're listening to is, you know, not some modern liturgist's version of his self-important concert.
Yeah, if nothing else, there is beauty involved, and often there isn't in the English masses.
Right.
I can't think of anything else to say about COVID-19.
Yeah, me neither.
I wish we could. I wish we would all get back to work. I think this is silly.
Yeah, me too. Obviously there are people who are at risk. You have to take precautions, but yeah, this is. You know, I think a lot of it also is. I mean, you know, governors and state bureaucracies. And CDC and all, they're not going to go without their paychecks. And I think a lot of this is they feel like they finally get to do something big, you know?
Oh, yeah.
I think all there's some of that, too.
Doing interviews for CNN and the rest of them.
Yeah.
They're loving this.
Right. Exactly. It's like, oh, hey, now we matter. You know, that kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I'm looking at the numbers, and I was on this website for it's like a city Facebook type of thing, but it's also kind of a forum. So I'm getting in discussions with people about the fact that I believe this is the wrong way to handle it. I think we should get to work. I think instead of us not going to work, if there was a real danger of running out of hospital supplies, then things should be repurposed to make hospital supplies.
Yeah.
And if there's a danger of running out of hospital personnel, then the past 2 weeks should have been spent training nurse aides and underpaid employees at the hospital to help take the load.
Exactly.
Okay, you can watch this person for this, or this. You could have a week-long class even telling them what to watch for, and then you'd have all the help you need.
Yeah.
And we could hire more
raise
people.
The alarm for when somebody else needs to step in. Yeah, exactly.
And then suddenly people aren't dying because we ran out and because the hospitals were overwhelmed. And they admit that's what they're trying to do is slow the spread, not stop it, because they know we're going to get it anyway.
It's not they're not saying, well, let's keep it from spreading. They're saying let's slow it down so that the hospitals can meet, can have
capacity. In my opinion, instead of avoiding that, we should have prepared for it. And then we would have a good plan for the future. But as of now, the plan for the future is if something happens, everybody stop working. And that's just not acceptable for America.
No, I mean,
but I'm arguing with people over this, and they keep saying, you got to listen to the experts. And I keep saying, what are the experts saying? Tell me the real numbers that the experts are saying. Well, they said this many people will die. And I said, no. These are based on models.
Yeah, that's
Tell
not
me real
the
numbers.
That's what they're saying. Yeah, that's
even
what
the numbers
claiming,
that China's
saying.
Even the Italian numbers are nothing to be alarmed at.
Right.
I mean, and finally, I kind of pinned someone down on it. I said, well, you tell me one real number that's scary. There are 13 people in the hospital right now. Mm-hmm. That's no reason to shut down the state.
No. Yeah, that's
reason to hire extra help if 13 is too much for a giant hospital that covers 4 city blocks.
Yeah, that's 13 people. That's not even a waiting room.
Yeah. Yeah, I see 13 people sitting in the waiting room bleeding to death.
Yeah.
I've sat in the waiting room for 24 hours.
Man.
Don't tell me about 13 people
having a head cold. Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess there's not much else we can say about it.
Yeah.
I tried to go through the news, and all of the news is about COVID-19.
Yeah, I don't even have any nonsense news. Oh, you know what, though? I don't. But hold on. Sorry. I tried to cover my mic. Those sneezes, they come on, and I don't even have any warning anymore. My wife, she gets upset because it hurts her ears. There's some frequency in my sneeze that hurts her ears. And so she wants me to warn her, and when I warn her, she'll pinch her fingers into her ears to cover them while I sneeze. But sometimes I don't have enough warning, and I just reach my hand, like we'll be driving, and I'll just reach and shake my finger out in front of her. That means, get your ears covered, I'm sneezing. So, anyway.
I lose all control when I sneeze. It's a rah-choo! Yeah. It's like I'm purposely doing it loud. I'm not.
My wife claims that I must be just purposely yelling. It's like, no. Yeah. In fact,
I guess that's an angle thing.
Well, there are other people who are like that. If I don't give into it, it comes loud anyway. But if I don't give into it, I end up with a really bad pain in my elbows right afterwards.
Your elbow?
Okay, I'm not gonna give it a medical explanation.
Your elbow. Have you ever heard Ginger sneeze?
No. Is it a wimpy sneeze?
It's weird because achoo! I swear she does that.
She does. Now
she goes,
that's
achoo!
That's a fake sneeze.
No, I swear that's her real sneeze. We had a convoy going to Granny B's once for Thanksgiving, and we stopped at the drive-thru, and we couldn't tell if that was Mom's car.
Wait, you're on your way to you're talking about a pony keg, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I was going to say you went to a drive-thru on the way to Thanksgiving dinner.
Do people still call them pony kegs?
Well, here's the thing.
I haven't heard that since Dad said it.
Okay, well, that's what they are to me because that's what Dad called them. But I want to outside of Ohio, they don't necessarily. Well, I think they do have them in Michigan. Maybe they don't have them in Indiana. In fact, I see places. Yeah, I see places that used to be, and they're not. So that's why I wanted to clarify that to people, because people who aren't from Ohio, we have these stores that you drive through. It's a great big store. It's like
it's a convenience store.
Think of a garage door on both sides of a convenience store, and you drive right through the store, and you just tell the person what you want, and they bring it to your car. You pay, and you leave. It's a drive-through. And
I've seen them in West Indiana or West Harrison, Indiana.
I bet not on the Indiana side.
Yeah, on the Indiana side.
I challenge you on that. You get me a Google.
Okay, I'll
get me a Google Street View.
Yeah,
of it.
I'll show it to you
Because
because I've been there. Because I couldn't find a place to buy liquor in Ohio.
They're so convenient. I assume the only reason I don't see them here is because, like Indiana, like the laws don't allow them somehow.
I don't know.
So anyway, I call them pony kegs.
Okay,
but yeah,
back to the story.
Yeah, on your way to Granny
we
B's.
were kids, and on the way to Granny B's, we see Mom's car, and we're trying to figure out if it's Mom's car or someone else's car. We're like, oh, coincidence, because we're all, and then they said, no, that's not Mom. And then from up there, we hear, achoo! And we're like, oh, yeah, that's Ginger.
Ginger with Mom.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, you know, I also get my ear hurts when I have heartburn. In fact, often my ear will hurt before my chest hurts when I have heart. It's like my ear will be hurting, and I'm like, oh, I need some Tums. My ear hurts.
You're not normal. There's a name for that. Transfer pain or something like that.
Yeah, displaced pain or something. Yeah, I forget.
Like if your gallstone hurts, your shoulder hurts, or
right.
something like that. But you have weird ones.
Well, I've asked my wife about it. My wife's an audiologist, so she's all about ears, and I've asked her if she's ever run into somebody that has ear pain when they have heartburn, and she swears she hasn't. So I that must be a unique thing. I don't know.
It is unique. I have ear pain if I have a sinus infection.
Well, that's kind of connected.
And tooth pain.
Mm-hmm.
But not heartburn.
So anyway,
right.
I did want to tell this story though.
Okay,
my son, he's home from Purdue now, Purdue University. He's a student there, and this is more coronavirus stupidity. They came home on spring break, and then they said, okay, like during the time he was home, they said, all right, all the rest of the year, we're going to do classes by, we're not going to have any more in-person classes. We're not going to meet in class. It's all going to be, online or electronic or whatever. All right. And then they started saying, oh, and since we're doing that, you guys can stay home from the dorms. And they gave them a certain time and said, let us know if you have to stay. Like, because some people, they don't have anywhere to go to.
Right.
So they got to stay in the dorms. And they already paid for it. So Charlie said, well, I already paid for it. I want to stay there. So I'm going to stay there. So he went back there and he's, all settled back in and stuff. And then they sent a email to him. And they had kind of said, you might have to move to another place because we might rearrange some people in campus. And you'd think that, okay, they want to spread people out to try to prevent the spread or whatever of the virus. So he got this email saying that he has either 2 days to move all of his stuff into this other building, or he can have until the weekend to just leave and come home anyway. And here's the kicker. He's in a dorm complex called First Street Towers, which is on First Street in Lafayette. And what he was told is, you have to either move your stuff in from First Street Central, which is where he was, into First Street West, or you can just, go home. And the reason we need you to move from First Street Central to First Street West is so that we can move people from the rest of the campus into First Street Central.
Well, that makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, right? So, anyway, he's back home now. But I don't get it. People.
I don't know how these schools get away with it.
It's like the coronavirus.
People keep paying them.
Yeah, I know. Well, in Charlie's case, it's, that you need you need a degree like that to get the job, and Purdue is pretty prestigious, within engineering and so forth. Plus, if he decides to get into some research, they'll have opportunities there and that kind of stuff, although I don't see him doing that. But yeah, I was thinking more like, one aspect of this coronavirus is that it must turn people stupid.
I'll tell you what, I don't know what it has to do with money, but I can guarantee you that has something to do with money.
Oh, it does. I know exactly what it is. It's one last ploy to try
get
to
them
convince
to
them to leave anyway, right? And in compensation for leaving, they're giving them a little bit of money as a credit on future school bills, so a bursar credit, which isn't the amount that they should get prorated to the time that they spent in the dorm and the time that they paid for it. I'm going to look a little bit into it and see if there's some other parents are maybe interested in bringing a complaint and trying to get
a lawsuit.
That kind of a thing. I'm thinking. So anyway,
well, I did find some news.
Okay.
First, SpaceX had a Falcon 9 rocket.
Okay.
And it aborted takeoff shortly after igniting its engines.
Oh, okay.
Then, shortly after, a couple days after that, SpaceX successfully launches a Falcon 9 rocket.
Is this manned or unmanned?
I think this is unmanned.
Okay.
Because they're deploying 60 Starlink satellites.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, they wouldn't need to man a rocket for that.
So, it did successfully launch, and,
cool.
and so they're using these things, and they seem to be working pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big old earthquake in Utah.
I didn't know about that.
In Salt Lake City. Vicky's got a friend there or something and they've been feeling little quakes ever since then.
Mm-hmm.
Left a lot of people without fire or power, and it's a pretty big deal.
Wow.
Pope Francis calls for worldwide prayer, announces he'll hold a special service to pray for the end of coronavirus pandemic.
Was that the one today?
Well, I guess he's saying he had announced he would, and I guess today is when he did it.
Right.
He delivers a special Urbi et Orbi blessing.
Yes.
I don't even know what that is.
I gathered the kids and we watched it and prayed it. In order to get the indulgence.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Although, did you hear the thing about Pope Francis saying that the virus is Mother Nature striking back?
Oh yeah.
At our sins again.
Throwing a fit or something like that.
Did he really say that, or was that just like something like
he
misreported?
said? Mother Nature's said something of the effect that not Mother Nature, nature is throwing a temper tantrum, something like that.
Huh.
And then he quoted this saying, and I'm sure you've heard it. God always forgives. Man sometimes forgives. Nature never forgives.
I had not heard that as a saying before that. I read that as something he said, but I hadn't heard it.
I've heard other people say it long ago. I mean, 20 years ago
so
I've heard it.
It's a saying then. Okay. So he's just jumping onto a...
Yeah. And it basically, really what it's about is the fact that God will forgive you, and sometimes people will forgive you, but usually your sins cause consequences that you can't be forgiven.
You still need to work through those consequences. If you step off of a cliff, you're going to hit the ground below.
Right.
That's nature. That's physics.
It just happens.
You don't get to say, "Oops, that was a mistake. Let me undo." Yeah. Okay. Right. And that's all it means.
If you sleep around, you're going to get VDs and things like that, and nobody can just take them away from you. Well, sometimes there are miracles, but that's what the saying means.
It's like he anthropomorphizes nature.
He added like a paganistic feel to it.
Yeah.
Our Pope.
I don't get that at all. I mean, he's like, I don't know. He's off the deep end.
It was a bad thing to say, I think.
Mm-hmm.
At least at the timing when he was talking about the fact that we sin against nature.
Yeah.
Which you can't sin against nature.
No, you know.
You sin against God, or you sin
Like
against
the Psalm
people,
says,
but,
against you alone have I sinned.
Yeah. So, anyway, Cuba sent doctors to Italy to fight the coronavirus.
How's that work?
I don't get that one at all. I don't know if
what
that
does,
means
what
that
secret knowledge
Cuba had
does Cuba
extra
have?
doctors.
Tiny Cuba had enough extra doctors that they're going to send them to Italy? I don't get that. That doesn't make any sense.
I guess the fact that they don't really care about taking care of their own people, they figured...
Yeah, well, we're not going to take care of our people. We go take care of some Italians?
Yeah, because they're so important. Let's see. Bernie Sanders wins the Democrats abroad primary. Democrats abroad is... I don't understand if this is really part of the Democrat Party's election
nomination process.
Yeah, but I guess Democrats who are out of the country can vote, and that adds up to one vote.
Okay.
And Bernie Sanders
got that
won
one.
that.
Okay.
I don't know what's got. Last I heard, the real contender is Andrew Cuomo.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Brokered convention, and Andrew Cuomo comes in and saves the day. That's what some people are speculating. Which would make sense because he's been sounding presidential for the past week. And cooperating with Trump. And you never thought you'd see him cooperate with Trump on anything.
But isn't he the one that had that, did the quote about, every human life matters or something like that?
I don't remember.
He's talking about, we will not, we'll destroy our economy to save lives. Every human life matters.
Right.
I'm paraphrasing. He's basically making the
even
point
if
that
just one life was saved.
Yeah,
like
it's worth worth destroying the economy. Something like that. I don't know. It's like, okay, yeah. So you destroy the economy and then thousands of lives are lost. Okay, but whatever. Every life, every human life matters, or something along those lines. And it's like, okay, really, you're like in one of the most pro-abortion states. You're one of the most pro-abortion governors. Your words are such silly sentimentalisms; they're meaningless.
Yeah, I mean, they celebrated the passing of abortion laws.
Yeah.
They were clapping over it.
Yeah, they lighted up the one. Which tower was it? They lighted up in some color.
Yeah, they had a pink or something.
Pink on the Sears Tower, whatever it is. I don't know.
He did some kind of video where he's talking on the video about not having enough respirators or equipment, and but behind him were these stacked up walls of medical equipment that he did have that was just sitting there unopened.
Huh.
And then they found out that like a year after the swine flu hit, he was told you need to buy these respirators, restock the supply of respirators that were used up during the swine flu. And he said, no, he's not going to do that. Instead, he bought some kind of solar panel and hired a team of specialists to decide who would get respirators and who wouldn't.
Oh.
Instead of buying more respirators.
Instead of just getting more respirators. Wow.
So, and now he's changed his tune. They have enough respirators. They don't have enough people, though.
Oh.
Again, do you need to be magic in order to watch a patient say, hey, this guy's breathing funny?
Yeah.
How many mothers do you know who called doctors out on things and said, no, there's something wrong with this child, or no, the kid's fine, and the doctor's wrong and the mom's right.
Yeah,
I mean,
happens a lot.
I don't know. Did you hear that, let's see. Okay, the U.S. Justice Department announces charges against the Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro.
Yeah.
For drug trafficking.
Oh, okay.
And there's a $15 million award for his arrest. or information leading to his arrest.
Wow.
So if you know where the guy is and would be able to arrest him, you can get $15 million.
Oh, hey, hey, everybody!
That's pretty neat.
That's a nice. That's a nice economic boost there.
Yeah, but I mean, this is President Trump.
Yep.
Saying, look, I don't care if you're American or not. You're not going to bombard our country with these drugs.
Right.
And he's taking steps to stop it. And, yeah. Let's see. There was one more. Okay. So I guess Trump and President, how do you say that? Xi or Xi? Xi.
SZ.
Chinese president.
XI. Oh, XI. Okay. I would say Xi.
Xi. President Xi offers advice to United States President Donald Trump on how to contain the coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah.
That's actually a news story.
I should have had that one queued up in the nonsense news.
Yeah, that was nonsense news. Because he's so much smarter than President Trump.
Yeah.
See, I normally am not into these conspiracy theories, but I don't care how you see it. President Trump is disrupting not just the order of things in Washington. Mm-hmm. It's worldwide.
Yeah.
I mean, what the U.S. does, it ripples out.
He's he's either disrupting things himself, or he's an icon for a worldwide movement that is disrupting things. One or the other.
Yeah. And more probably both, because the renegotiated agreements in China. Mm-hmm. Look, a lot of people are losing money off that.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's true.
They would not have been able to do this to America if people in America hadn't allowed it to happen. Mm-hmm. And Trump is disrupting that.
Yeah.
And he's disrupting things all over the world.
Yeah, he's being effective.
And so I don't think it's that far off base to say people are using the coronavirus worldwide as a way to disrupt Trump's presidency. Yeah. I don't think it's that far off.
No, I don't think so either. If you want to, some people have, there was one guy.
I don't think it was a plan.
An Uber driver that I was talking to that actually said the coronavirus is a engineered virus.
Oh, well, actually it is engineered.
In what sense?
As far as I know, everything I've read so far, and I haven't read a whole lot, mm-hmm. but says that it did actually originate in a lab.
Oh, really?
They seem to know that.
Okay.
They don't know if it was a purposeful thing or if it was an accident,
mm-hmm. But it was. It happened in a lab and then got out. Okay.
There are some credible sources saying that it did come from a lab.
Interesting.
I don't know. The sources I heard were credible to me because I've always believed them.
Yeah.
Maybe they're really not that credible. I don't know. But that's not too far off.
Yeah, it's not that unbelievable either, because even 10 years ago, I was reading about research being done into the use of coronaviruses. Coronavirus is the class of viruses that cause the common cold. I was reading research into the use of coronaviruses as a mechanism for delivering direct gene therapy as things like cures for cancer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because the virus itself could be programmed to only attack, say, cancer cells, of a certain kind or whatever. So the fact that a lab would be manipulating a coronavirus and doing some kind of experiment, that's not unbelievable.
And if it somehow got into, say, rats that mm-hmm. ended up in the wet market in China,
right.
And I don't know.
So yeah, okay, I'd buy that.
I don't have anything else in the news.
All right. Well, I don't have any news. Like I said, the one thing that the whole panic itself is a nonsense news, in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
But
are we going to try to get together next week?
I'm going to try. I'll be here. I don't have anything planned. We
should think hard about a topic and do some research on it.
Yeah.
Over the next week, maybe by Tuesday, come up with a topic.
Yeah, this one was kind of freeform. It was just kind of like, hey, let's talk about what's going on now.
Yeah.
And there's no way that we could not do that kind of a podcast,
right?
But it would have been timely last week as well. So
yeah. All right. Well, folks, listen or think about what we said, and we'll see you next week.
Yep, and more than ever at this time, circle the beads.
Circle the beads. Bye, folks.
All right, bye.